first thing we're gonna do is preheat our oven to 410. Now we're gonna prepare to chop our 3 additions to the cookies. So I like to use walnuts and 2 different types of chocolate. I use Ghirardelli chocolate just because it's my favorite chocolate. I use sea salt caramel, and I use the intense dark 72% cacao. And then for the walnuts, you just need any walnuts chopped up. You can use them whole, but I'm gonna chop them up finer either way. So I'm gonna go ahead and open these up. Now when I cut these up, I'm going to leave them into chocolate chunks because I think chunks are better than chocolate chips. This is what the inside of that Ghirardelli chocolate caramel looks like. So now that we got our chocolate chopped up, we're going to chop up the walnuts. You can keep the walnuts this big, but it would be better if you chopped them into smaller pieces so you don't get a bite full of just walnuts. Keeping them about that size is perfect. Now we're going to make the cookie mix. All you need is a big bowl and a spoon or a beater. I just like using a spoon better. So first thing you're going to put in a bowl is 2 sticks of sweet unsalted butter. Now you can either soften the butter or you can melt it. I like to melt it, so let's go ahead and do that. After you melt your butter, you're going to put in 3/4 cup of white sugar and then 3/4 cup of brown sugar after you kind of lightly pack it. Not super packed, but just lightly. Then we're going to go ahead and give this a mix. Next thing you're going to add is some vanilla. It's imitation, it's the same thing, it's cheaper, that's why I get it. And I never measure vanilla. That seems about right. Then you're going to mix that in. Next thing you're going to need is some eggs. I like to use brown eggs just because for these cookies I slightly underbake them, and I don't know, I just feel like the brown eggs might help with salmonella risks less. I don't really know, and these are better quality, so I just go with brown eggs. Just need 2 of them. So we're going to crack these and put them in, mixing in 1 at a time. You want to make sure after you're done mixing in the eggs that the batter is nice and smooth. Now the flours are very important. We're going to use half cake flour and half all-purpose flour. Cake flour gives it that cakier, thicker texture, and the all-purpose flour just keeps the regular consistency of a natural cookie. And we're going to put in about 1.5 cup each. Make sure you mix in 1 portion at a time. Now in with the cake flour. Okay, now the next 3 things we're going to use is baking powder, some salt, and cornstarch. I don't measure any of these either, I just kind of put them in. So I'll just do a good pinch of salt here. Open up this baking powder. I'll get a nice little spoonful of that. That's like a teaspoon maybe, I don't know. Throw that in there. Then for the cornstarch, I'll get a nice hefty tablespoon. Throw that in there. And then mix it up. The baking powder helps the cookies rise in the oven and give them a more airy texture. I believe the cornstarch helps the batter just kind of stay together and not have the cookies flatten out as much. And then the salt just kind of adds some balance in there. Now I'm going to add in the nuts. I think that's like a cup maybe. Throw in the dark chocolate and throw in the caramel chocolate. And we're going to incorporate that into the batter or the dough, whatever. So this is what the dough's looking like. And now I'm going to eat lunch and let this chill in the fridge for about half an hour. Now if you're going to bake it right away, you can keep your oven preheated like we first mentioned. But if you're going to put it in the fridge like I do, which just makes the cookie better overall, helps it bake better, don't preheat your oven until you have it in the fridge. Okay, I'm about to pull the dough out of the fridge, but in the meantime, I'm going to show you guys how I make my parchment paper stick to my pan so it doesn't roll up on itself. So what I do is take some cooking spray and just spray it all over the pan, mainly on the edges heavily. And then I roll out the parchment paper and press it down. And then I'll cut it off at the end here. That just helps it stay all stuck to the pan. Okay, I took out the dough. It was in there for a little under 30 minutes, but good enough. I'm impatient. For this part, make sure you wash your hands. You're gonna form your dough into a rough, not tightly packed ball, about the size of a tennis ball, baseball. And you're gonna put these evenly across your sheet. Make sure you leave a few inches of room in between each one because they're gonna expand. I usually bake 6 at a time. You could probably fit 8 on here, but I just usually do 6 just to make sure they don't touch each other. So now we're gonna throw these in the oven at 410 for about 10 to 12 minutes. Also, if you want these to look better, you can place a little chocolate chunk or 2 on the top. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. You can see that's what the cookie looks like. You can see how it's just slightly underdone here. That's how I like them. If you want to cook them longer because you don't like them as gooey or you worry about the safety concerns, go ahead and keep them in for a couple more minutes. But this is when I like to take them out because they're going to keep baking. Another trick I like to do to shape these is just form the edges with a spatula. It'll help make a perfect circle. Now I'm going to let these cool for a few minutes. This one looks kind of shitty compared to the rest, not going to lie. This one looks super good though. So does this one. To top these cookies off, I like to use Osmo Flaky White Salt. This just adds a nice salty touch on the cookies so you get the salty and sweet taste. Okay, I'm going to take one that hasn't completely cooled yet so I can cut it in half and you can see the inside. This is when I usually like to eat them, when they're still gooey and a little melty in the middle, but as they cool, that'll still stay soft. They tear apart super easy also. And that's how you make these chocolate walnut cookies. I'm gonna go ahead and give them a try now. Take this little piece. Very good. I'm trying to get to 2 million subscribers by the end of the year. If you guys could hit subscribe and like, I'd greatly appreciate that. See you in the next one.